Hello everyone, and welcome to what I'm prepping today. Today I am making some more ham and lima bean soup for the freeze dryer for Fred. I showed you on a previous video I had 2 half hams in the oven, totaled about 20 pounds purchased, and I cleaned it, and seriously, 10 pounds of meat from 20 pounds of chicken. $2 a pound actually was $4 a pound, although I got it on sale for $1 a pound, so it was $2 a pound. So that's why, to me, it's one of the really important things to try to use as much as you can of everything that you have. So what I did, I took the ham pieces, the fat and the trim, and the things that were too small to be able to just bother with for the freeze dryer or the soup. Normally, I wouldn't have a problem throwing this in the soup to add flavor. However, since I want to freeze dry it, I didn't want this fat in there because then I'll just have to pick it out later. But of course, we have 2 partially well-behaved little puppies here. Actually, they're not puppies. They're going on 2 years old. They're just little. Mercy's ears stand up. Maya's never do. They're always combed back like hair. Of course, they're not full-blooded German Shepherds, but we love them. We adopted them from a rescue in Tennessee that advertised on Facebook. So let's see, it was called Imminent Danger, German Shepherd Rescue. I highly recommend them. They're awesome people. However, it's always good to adopt locally as well. My daughter got one of her babies from in Imminent Danger in Tennessee, and then she got one locally, and it's crazy. The 2 she got, they look exactly the same. But anyway, these are sisters from the same litter, and back to the lima bean soup. So if this looks cooked even more so, it is, because yesterday we cooked it in the pan and made broth, and then the broth I put in the refrigerator overnight. So this will be fed to the girls, but not all in one sitting, not in one day. It'll go in a plastic bag in the fridge, and then they'll get a little bit with each meal because I don't want to overwhelm them with cooked food, salt, or food that they don't have all the time. Although I've not had an issue with them, a lot of this, like I said, is fat. So I don't want to give it all to them at one time. So now I'm going to take my broth, and then I just put the broth in here. Thank you. I had to have help do that. But and then in this roaster, I have my lima beans, which soaked overnight in the oven. That's 6 pounds of lima beans. Now there's another way you can do lima beans if you don't want to wait overnight. I didn't have a problem with that. Normally I would just do what they call quick soak. You just bring the water to a boil and let it sit on the stove, I think for an hour or so. But the directions are on every can, not can, of course not, every bag of dry beans. But the water these were soaked in, you don't want, you have to strain off. So now I'm going to have my helper carry this roaster to the sink and drain it for me. And here's the bone, which I had in a plastic bag overnight. I did put it in the freezer because, quite honestly, and that's just from one night, but I wasn't real sure how quickly this was going to progress, but it doesn't make a difference. There's a lot of ham left on the bone, and then right here is just a handful or so of meat that I didn't put in the freeze dryer. I saved actually for the soup, but quite honestly, this bone with all that hard to get to meat would have been enough for this soup. So all we're going to do is go ahead and put this in with the lima beans that we have added. Now, just to let you know, I already know what my roaster can handle. Most roasters are, I think, 16 quart. Mine is a 20 quart roaster, so it can comfortably fit 6 pounds of soaked beans, which is a lot of beans, plus the broth, plus the bone. And the last time I made lima bean soup for Fred, I used 4 pounds of beans, and my husband and I each had a bowl of soup, and I think we gave one to my mom. But that 4 pounds was 10 pounds of soup is what it made. So everything went in the freeze dryer, and normally we like to have meals for a couple days when we cook, so we don't have to cook all the time and every single day. And my husband has things available for lunch. So I know that my roaster handles 6 pounds of beans, and if I want it for Fred and us, that's what I've got to do. And believe it or not, that's done. Now, I realize that this took 5 minutes to explain to you how to do the soup, but the prep work is what is really important in the soup. Of course, you have to bake your ham, you have to clean your ham, you have to save your bone in some pieces or not. You don't even have to make broth. I just think it makes a better soup. This could have just been water. And to make the broth, you just throw in all your trimmings in a big pot and let it simmer for, I think mine simmered for about 4 or 5 hours. And then I strained out all the meat, and the best way to do that, and the pan is dirty from use, I haven't washed it yet, is to put your meat that you want for your broth in here, and if you were making vegetable broth, you would throw those in there too. And you don't reuse the vegetables when you make broth because they all just cook up and get so mushy. And then because it's in a spaghetti pot, this is deep, and straining it is so easy. You just lift up the top pot, and all your good stuff, your broth, is already strained and in the lower pot. So if you don't have a spaghetti pot, this is something I highly recommend. I have had to put mine together through the years. My spaghetti pot came with more likely just a steamer basket. So I had one of these that was a steamer basket and one that was an official spaghetti pot. You can see why these handles don't match. So when I nest this in the cabinet, I put this inside of this, and then the small steamer basket goes on top. But honestly, sorry about that. I've put this set together. I had, like I said, 2 complete sets, and then it just got to be too much cookware. We went through and we saved 2 lids that go with this, and I pick up stuff at Goodwill. Or the thrift stores. I'm like, oh, I think that'll fit in my pan, and it's usually only like $2. So to me, it's worth it just to get it, see if it works. If not, I see if anybody in the family needs it, and if not, I just donate it right back. But about Mercy barking there, let me just tell you, yesterday I went outside, and somebody came to visit, and so I went outside, and she saw somebody was out there, and so she totally went berserk and wanted to come outside. Well, I asked my husband to keep her quiet in the house because they have a dog door, and so they have total access to outside in their fenced-in area. So he closed off access to the dog door so that the dogs wouldn't come outside and bark at me talking to someone else. Now, they do listen when you say quiet, but they quiet for a minute. So then I have to stop what I'm doing, go over to them, make them be quiet. The one command that works pretty well, though, is go to your room, because they know they have to go to a certain area where we are able to close them off in the house from everyone else. So they know that. But anyway, so my husband said that that Mercy is so smart that whenever I went outside and he closed off her access so that she couldn't come outside and bark to protect me, he said that she actually went over to our video camera setup, which this is what we have right there, and that's under the big TV, and the whole setup is just a whole nother thing I can tell you about later. But Mercy actually went over to stand in front of the camera and watched me on the camera the entire time I was outside until I came back in the house. That's how smart she is. But then again, she lays on the couch and watches TV too. So, but she also realizes now what those cameras are for, you know, and she can see me outside. Isn't that crazy? But anyway, I digressed as usual. So let me know if you like ham and lima bean soup, or how you make yours if you do it any differently. Back to the soup. Yeah, I am going to add some more water to this because I want everything soaked up. And then I've already put it on. It's on 300 right now. I'm just going to bring the heat up until it gets bubbly and simmers. And then I'll let it simmer for probably 6 hours, and then I will check it. So that's it. Let me know how your soup's coming and what you're prepping today. Be blessed, everyone.